What's up, schoolmates?
Ayan, sa isa na namang panibagong episode ang hahatak sa inyo sa matinding talakayan at real talkan.
Dahil ngayong araw, no, hindi lamang tayo mabibigyan ng opinyon. Maglalabanan din sila ng idea, pananaw at resibo ng argumento.
At lahat ng yan ay dito lang sa
Schoolmates!
Isigaw ang tinig mo, ihayag sa buong mundo ang karapatan, kalayaan. Buksan ang isip mo, sa alaman ng yaman mo, sa karapatan, sa kalayaan.
So, isa sa mga pinakamaiinit na usapin ngayon sa ating ekonomiya ay yung panukalang pagdadagdag nga daw ng buwis sa mga mayayaman or the super rich.
Right. At ayon din no, sa ilang ekonomista, ang mas mataas na buwis sa mayayaman ay makatutulong daw upang madagdagan ang pondo para sa edukasyon, healthcare at iba pang serbisyong panlipunan.
Correct. At may tutol din dito ang posibleng pag-apekto nito sa mga negosyo, investment, paglikha ng mga trabaho
Right.
kapag tumaas nga daw ang buwis sa mga mayayaman.
Kaya naman ngayong araw, atin ng pag-uusapan at pagdedebatihan, dagdag buwis sa mayayaman, dapat o hindi dapat?
Schoolmates, ating kilalanin ang mga debaters na pabor sa pagdagdag ng buwis sa mga mayayaman dahil naniniwala silang makakatulong ito sa pagpapalakas ng serbisyong panlipunan.
Ako po si Marcus Rayoso mula sa Adamson University, 18 years old at first year accountancy student. Natuwa po ako dahil malapit sa akin tong topic na to bilang isang accountancy student, no? At natuwa ako na yung posisyon na binigay sa amin ay medyo pabor sa side din namin.
I am Benjamin Franklin M. Bulisay. I am 19 years old. I'm currently taking up Bachelor of Arts in Political Science in Adamson University. As a group, marami kaming ginawa para mag-prepare. We've conducted several trainings in Gmeet, Discord, and as well as training din kami face-to-face when we had the time. And individually, I think we research naman about the topic. We're very well versed, we're very well educated about the topic. Kaya I can say na we're very prepared for this debate.
Ako po si Josh Christoph Panlilio. I'm 19 years old. I'm first year po and I'm currently taking Bachelor of Secondary Education in Adamson University po. I'm looking forward po sa isang diplomatic na conversation po and sana po mas lumawak pa po ang connections natin po between each other po.
Ngayon naman ay atin nang kilalanin ang mga debaters na hindi pabor sa pagdagdag ng buwis sa mayayaman dahil naniniwala sila na maaaring maapektuhan trabaho at mga mamumuhunan.
I am Samari Mapa, 18 years old, currently studying under the program Development Studies in Bulacan State University and the College of Social Science and Philosophy. The moment na nalaman po namin yung topic, I was amazed and at the same time, I find it very accurate or leaning sa program namin which is Development Studies dahil dito inaaral namin kung paano gumagalaw ang lipunan and we believe we can contribute well to this.
Ako si Frejemi Atencio, 9 years old at currently ako ay nag-aaral ng Batsilya ng Sining sa Araling Pangkaunlaran. Yung preparation namin ng aming grupo ay bukod sa deep research and synthesizing of data na nag-gather namin. Siguro ay yung nandun kami para sa isa't isa na alam namin or may affirmation kami sa bawat isa na kaya namin to.
Ako po si Mark Aaron G. Suriba mula sa Kolehiyo ng Agham Panlipunan at Pilosopiya ng Bulacan State University. Let's make the discussion healthy. Let's share what we know to each other. Since after all, our discussion is meant to bring into light of the public yung matter concerning taxation. May our discussion allow the public to understand the topic more in depth and likewise, ipakita natin na posible yung isang malumanay at maayos sa discussion in a very hyperactive social media.
Sa aming pagbabalik, isang mainit at mapapanahong debate ang ating masasaksihan dito lang sa
Schoolmates!
Nagbabalik ang Schoolmates. So Schoolmates, paalala lamang na ang ating debate ay isang plataforma upang mailahad ang iba't ibang pananaw ng mga kabataan tungkol sa mga napapanahong issue ng lipunan. So again, walang tama or mali na opinyon, ngunit mahalagang ito ay may respeto, batay sa tamang impormasyon at may malinaw na paninindigan. Kaya bago po tayo magsimula, panoorin po natin ang ating debate rules and mechanics.
May dalawang teams na maglalaban, ang Team Pro at Team Con, na may tig-tatlong miyembro. Ang team leaders ang unang sasalang sa ating debate. Para sa bawat tanong, may 3 rounds or lives ang bawat isa na may 30 seconds per speaker per round. Kapag sobrang intense at walang gustong magpatalo, we activate the bonus round. 1 minute and 30 seconds yan na free flow discussion. Meaning, bahala na magsagutan ang magkabilang panig. Pero kung halimbawa, hindi na makarebat ang naunang debater, pwede siyang mag-buzz para palitan ng ibang team member. Ito ang twist. Bilang mga host, may kapangyarihan kaming mag-buzz sa gitna ng laban. Kung medyo off, boring, o hindi kami satisfied sa sagot ng sinumang debater, we can buzz you out at papalitan ng ibang team member. Kaya make sure na hindi lang matalino ang sagot nyo. Dapat klaro, direkta at convincing. Bring your best arguments.
Okay, schoolmates, oras na para sa unang bahagi ng ating debate. Number 1 question natin ay, ang pagtataas ba ng buwis sa mga mayayaman or yung mga higher social classes ng ating bansa ay makakatulong talaga upang mabawasan ang agwat ng mayayaman at mahirap sa Pilipinas? Marcos.
Alam niyo po, no, ang Pilipinas ay isa sa may pinakamataas na inequality rates sa Asia-Pacific region. Kaya nga ang aming proposisyon ay ang implementasyon ng wealth tax para magkaroon ng pagkuklose ng gap sa pagitan ng yaman ng mga ultra-rich and rich sa pagitan ng middle class and ng poor. So, ini-implement natin ito upang mag-generate tayo ng tax revenue na sapat para ma-achieve natin ang universal healthcare and education upang tulungan nating iangat ang ating middle class.
Aaron.
Naniniwala ang oposisyon sa kasalukuyang panukalang ito na sa panahon ngayon, isa sa mga pinakamahirap gawin ay ang pagbubuwis ng maayos sa mga mayayaman. Isa po sa mga pinaka-napapansin namin ay ang mataas na tax evasion rate sa loob ng ating bayan at ang kakulangan ng kapasidad ng pamahalaan na mag-pursue dahil sa mga institutional rules and policies kagaya na lamang ng Bank Secrecy Law and Foreign Deposit Act that leads to the difficulty of our Department of Justice to pursue tax evaders and other form of corrupt activities in our country.
So ang wealth tax ay isang form ng progressive taxation na makikita natin ngayon na ina-apply na sa mga Nordic countries.
Okay.
Ang wealth tax ay isang comprehensive. Kumbaga, mayroon itong real property tax, estate tax, inheritance tax, kung saan i-close natin yung current tax loopholes na mayroon sa ating sistema. Sa tulong na rin ng mga ahensya ng pamahalaan tulad ng Department of Finances na Tax Watch at ng BIR Watch List.
Marcos, you're done? Sige, Aaron, ano masasabi mo doon?
Well, as for us, we recognize the value of wealth tax as one of the most progressive policies that has been implemented. But we, as the opposition, has looked upon and has found out that the same policies that has been implemented in Europe on the past has been greatly removed, repealed in various countries.
Okay.
Well, the case is that the Nordic countries are first world countries, whereas the
Okay.
Philippines is not a first world developing, but a developing country that is yet to experience the fullness of an economic experience that is.
Maraming salamat, Aaron. Sige, Marcos, what do you have to add to that?
I think sa sitwasyon natin ngayon, nabanggit nga ng ating opposition, na ang ating bansa ay third world. Pero dapat meron tayong foresight and vision sa ating future na ilulook upan natin itong mga Nordic countries na ito as a model para sa ating taxation system. Kung gumana sa kanila, why not i-implement natin sa atin? And mag-promote tayo ng fairness and equitable taxation tulad ng nasa sa ayon sa ating konstitusyon, Article 6, Section 28, Paragraph 1 na uniform and equitable dapat ang taxation sa ating bansa.
Alright. Aaron?
Well, but the same procedure, but the same law has led to the exodus of billionaires on the Nordic countries, specifically Sweden. In fact, Sweden is on the process of amending the said law because the implementation of the wealth tax has led to the exodus of high high-profile individuals such as the CEOs of IKEA in the Switzerland. So if we're looking at the model, we must also look at the risk and the experience that the Nordic countries experience. It triggers a mass exodus of billionaires, and likewise, that same situation cannot be afforded in our country.
Yes. Okay, Marcos.
I think unlike the Nordic countries, ang Pilipinas ay iba. Ang ating mga bilyonaryo na may assets na higit 1 bilyong piso ay mayroong political, social at economic na koneksyon mismo sa ating pamahalaan. At yun ay hindi basta-basta nila maiiwan ang parehong koneksyon na nagpayaman sa kanila. At hindi maaaring basta-basta ialis sa ating bansa ang mga real properties na immovable.
Likewise, but we have also to consider the fact that we cannot predict the future. Thus people, those ultra-rich, has the same capital to transfer those same wealth taxes to other countries. And the admission that the wealth that those rich people has the capacity and the political capacity to retain their powers as an admission that the Philippines is a corrupt government. Yeah, we could collect those wealth tax, but saan pupunta yung wealth tax na yun? Sa flood control scandal?
So, you've posed a question na saan na pupunta if ever that they actually do move those, quote-unquote, in your terms, might be immovable assets and connections to other countries. How do we work forward kung, kunwari, in your case, you said, let us set the vision. Iba ang dapat maging future ng Pilipinas given the rollout of this specific scheme. What do you have to say to that? How are we balancing the risks and the, the opportunity na there may be a better alternative solution to that wealth tax? Marcos?
Nasabi ko nga kanina na ang ating wealth tax na pinopropose ay isang comprehensive. Halimbawa, i-recognize namin ang kanyang sinabi na maaaring i-move ng mga kapitalistang ito ang kanilang assets in form of stock sa ibang bansa. Pero ang ating bansa ngayon, sa aming mundo na mag-i-implement ng wealth tax, ay papaigtingin ang capital gains tax. Kaya kung sadya man nilang ililipat ang kanilang mga stocks sa ibang bansa, papatawa natin ito ng buwis. Kasi bago pa nila ma-move, ay meron tayong exit tax at capital gains tax.
Well, that's called the punitive tax, and that is cited by the UP Institutes of Developmental Studies. But likewise, I must consider that that is a valid point. But the legislation of that is a long process. Bago mo pa maipasa at maipa-approve sa gobyerno yung punitive tax na yon, yung exit tax na tinatawag mo, nailipat na nila. So ano pang hahabulin mo?
At kung ganun man ang ating gobyerno ngayon na corrupt, hindi ba mas nakakatulong sa atin kung mayroon tayong wealth tax na i-implement? Dahil pati sila, mawawalan sila ng mga lobbyists, mawawalan sila ng mga campaign donors, at maaring ang kanilang political career ay ma-abandon na rin kasi lilipat na sa ibang bansa. Pero very unlikely yun kasi bakit iiwan ng isang napakayamang tao ang kanilang political, social at economic na relasyon at koneksyon sa isang bansa?
Well, the same tax will trigger a mass exodus of investors. Because again, a disruption in our political scheme will trigger it will scare the investors out. Kung talo na nga tayo sa investors when it comes to FDI, what more kung mas magiging political and stable pa yung bansa natin? And ito important thing, 66% of our industries and our labor workforce came from the service industry, and those are directly, and 73% of those are privately employed. How much do you think of a problem will it be if that same situation happened? Pag tinaasan mo yung buwis, sino mag-shoulder nun? Is it the rich or ipapasa nila ito sa mas mahihirap? Gaano karaming tao ang mawawalan at gaano kadami sa 73% na yun yung mawawalan ng trabaho?
Okay, sige. Thank you so much, Aaron and Marcos. Let's carry the torch on with Sam and Benj. Dito natin ipasok yung, I wouldn't say morality, but more of like, where is the justice of putting the wealth taxes? So, ang pagtaas ba ng buwis sa mayayaman ay makatarungan o hindi makatarungan? And can you explain why? Maybe Benj, start first.
We, the affirmative side, believe na talagang makatarungan ang pagpataw ng buwis sa mga mayayaman.
Okay.
Number one point is that they have the capacity, they have the ability to pay the taxes. If we supposedly impose the wealth taxes, they have the capacity, they have the money, they have the amount, unlike ang ating mga nasa laylayan, ang ating mga middle-income workers, they don't have the purchasing power, they don't have the ability to pay talaga. Kaya mawawala yung burden sa mga middle income, mawawala yung burden sa ating mga marginalized sectors to actually pay the taxes.
Okay, salamat. Sam?
Okay, for our side naman, nag-disagree kami na makatarungan ito. Kasi in the first place, paano siya magiging makatarungan kung ang gobyerno natin ay walang state capacity para pag-ilaan sa tama ang mga buwis na nakokolekta? Okay, ngayon, nasa progressive taxation tayo. Meaning to say, kung ano ang income mo, doon nagva-vary kung gaano ang tax ang ipapataw sa'yo, which is on the highest right now is 35%. Okay, pero don't you know na hindi lahat yon or prominent sa country natin ang tax evasion. According to DOJ or sa proyekto ng BIR na tinatawag na REIT, is that meron tayo 900 plus, approximately 900 cases at 10 lang unconvicted doon. Ngayon, sige, may capacity nga ang mga mayayaman na magbayad ng buwis, pero ang tanong, ibabayad nga ba nila ito?
Doon tayo sa limitations ng pagbubuwis. Sa tingin natin, if ever, na in your case, you think na makatarungan siya, hanggang saan dapat ba ang pagbubuwis sa mayayaman to still consider that it's justifiable? In your case, given that it's not justifiable, what is the alternative method to still ensure that we keep the economy running? Because that is the main baseline of this entire thing. Wealth taxation is a way to keep the country rolling. So, what would you have to say to that, Benj?
I think we should propose, sabihin natin at least 3 to 5% in total ng wealth tax. Kasi I believe that we should also propose taxes, for example, sa mga luxury assets natin, sa mga passive wealth natin, sa mga luxury na binibili ng mga ultra-rich. For example, we can impose taxes sa mga bagay na halimbawa sa mga yacht, sa mga expensive jewelry, expensive cars. Pwede tayong maglaan doon, sabihin natin ng mga 3 to 5% total tax to the total amount. And then, by that, makikita naman natin na talagang it's very makatarungan. Kasi if you have the ability to purchase such luxurious items, then you also have the ability to pay a certain amount of tax for the items that you have bought.
Okay?
Okay, first I would like to question yung nabanggit mo kanina na according to PSA. I would like to remind you ko, wala tayong enough parameters o wala tayong mechanism sa gobyerno na nagsasabi or may list ng top billionaires. Dahil una, meron tayong Back Secrecy Act. Meaning to say, yung mga accounts ng wealthy or non-wealthy ay hindi na-account ng gobyerno. Kaya nga tayo nagkakaroon ng problem sa transparency. Now, para maging makatarungan tayo when it comes to taxing the people, as of now kasi, the progressive taxation, ang katarungan na siya enough. Kaya lang kasi, yung gobyerno, hindi nila alam kung paano i-handle ng tama. Kaya dapat maipasa natin ang kadena law, which is nagpe-pertain ito sa full transparency. And at the same time, yung the information, right to information law.
Okay, sige. Sabi natin na one of the na nabanggit nyo na possible na maging effects ng wealth taxation is capital allocation. Pwede nilang ilipat yung kanilang mga assets or anything that might get taxed offshore or wherever there will be less taxes that will be imposed on these specific assets. So, in that case, paano natin gagawing may pangil ang wealth taxation kung meron itong possible risk on entrepreneurship? Ano ang pwede natin gawin para doon? Or, is that an overall good thing for the economy if there are exodus na mangyayari? Because there may be after effects of the influxes of these entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial entities in the country as it already is. Benj.
I think naman yung paglilipat na, for example, ng mga wealth ng mga iba't iba nating tycoons towards another country, it's very unrealistic. Sure, yung mga stocks, yung mga bonds, and all digital assets that they have, madali lang yan. But we also have to consider their physical properties, such as yung mga mansions, yung mga yachts, and all of those physical na meron sila. And number two, yung deeply embedded na sa Pilipinas, yung kanilang connections, yung kanilang mga partners, yung kanilang mga social networks. So, kung ikaw, tatanungin kita, kung ikaw ay isang entrepreneur na lilipat sa ibang bansa just because of this, would you risk to start over again with no success rate or with no, na wala namang successful rate or pwede kang maging successful? Or would you stay just para makapagbayad lang ikaw ng tax na ini-impose na it is justifiable and fair naman.
So, ang topic natin dito right now is about the capital flight. At pag nagkaroon ng wealth tax, malaki ang posibilidad na magkaroon nito. Meaning to say, aalis ang investors, aalis ang investment. Okay? Paano sila matatakot na umalis sa Pilipinas na ito? Well, in fact, they are, most of them, or the ultra-rich, ay gagawa ng paraan para makatakas sa taxes na ito. Meron tayong tinatawag na tax avoidance and tax evasion. So, the tax avoidance is legal and tax evasion is illegal. Sa tax avoidance kasi, ang ginagawa dito is that you have a company here in the Philippines, tapos meron ka rin doong company sa isa pang country, in which, para makamenu sa tax na ibabayad na, the royalty will be there. You get the point? So basically, there's no such fear. Walang fear doon. Dahil meron silang mechanical way. If you're a capitalist, meron kang capitalist mindset, syempre strategic ka. Alam mo kung paano gumagalaw ang tax.
So, nasabi mo naman na ayun nga, pwede ka namang mag-set up ng, for example, ng isang company here in the Philippines, while another company in the other countries, yes? So, by that means, for example, kung yung income mo na sana, like for example, dito sa kumpanya dito, and then sabihin natin na you've set up or you've established another company in another country. Kasi nga, para sabihin na natin, mas mababa yung tax, mas mababa yung mga kailangan mong bayaran. Eh, what if din naman, like, we have certain measures din naman.
Like?
Right? Okay, tap. Okay, thank you, Ben. So, Fred and Toph, I want you guys to itemize what is actually wrong in dun sa kasalukuyang tax system natin, or if you can tell me how the wealth tax can fortify the current tax system in the country to actually make it work better or make it a harder working scheme for us to alleviate yung itong tinatawag natin na gap in terms of socio-economic classes. O sige, Toph, simulan mo muna.
We believe po na there are, of course, existing tax systems po na that could further be developed po. Like, our valuation system po is very outdated po. Some of the values of properties po are under-assessed and they're not up to par to actual market values po.
Okay. Do you think the tax system currently in the Philippines is enough, given I've already posed one example, valuation tax? Ano pa? How is the wealth tax gonna make it better?
The wealth tax can make it better po because even though like some long-standing investors po might leave, some foreign new investors po might actually enter because the system would now be predictable po and standardized po, and some investors prefer that po.
Okay, sige. Fred?
In our vantage naman, siguro hindi pa natin nakikita yung full capacity kung anong tax system na meron tayo ngayon dahil punong-puno tayo ng korupsyon dito sa bansa. According to Pulse Asia on December 2025, Filipinos think, 94% of the Filipinos think the corruption is rampant in our countries. So, and through that, kung ang perspektiba ng mamamayan o ng mga Pilipino ay punong-puno ng korap ang gobyerno.
Okay. Sige, tuloy mo na muna. Toldokan mo muna yung statement mo. Go.
Okay.
Okay ka na,
Okay.
Fred? O sige. Paano ba magiging harder working ang wealth tax in addition to the making the other tax systems in the Philippines much better? For example, valuation system. Can you give me a concrete example how that makes it better? Okay.
It could help po because there are some volatile industries po that are prone to boom or bust economic downturns po, and it would really help them po, especially those that are investing in the mining and oil industries, which are volatile industries po, to have a more predictable and standardized valuation system po.
Okay. Sige, Fred, balikan natin yung statement mo kanina.
Okay. As I was saying earlier, sa palagay nyo ba may state capacity ang Pilipinas para mag-promote or magkaroon pa ng reform ng taxes? Eh, Ngayon nga walang state capacity. Ano-ano nga ba yung nilalaman ng state capacity? Unang-una, nakakapag-kolekta ba ng buwis ang gobyerno ng tama at efficient? Nagagastos ba ito ng efficiently at pupunta ba ito sa mga dapat kinapupuntahan nito? Pangatlo, napoprosecute pa ng gobyerno ang mga corrupt o ang ating mga tax evader? Pang-apat, nagkakaroon ba tayo ng proper budget, transparency budget? And then lastly, nagkakaroon ba ng visible public goods? In the end of the day, mahirap lagyan ng tubig, mahirap pang lagyan ng tubig ang timbang butas.
Okay.
I think po na it could be new foreign investors can help us further than long-standing investors po, even if they leave po. Because there wouldn't be any political associations with anyone po. They would just be there to help their business grow po. Relying on the new modern system that we want to develop as for the valuation systems po. Like for example po, they could provide security in terms of security investment po. Like for example, the data servers that we have po, it could be further developed as to improve our services po in our security, like having a government integrated up po to track all the resources po, to hold our government accountable within themselves po.
Okay, sige. I think I get what he's trying to say. What do you have to say to that na in terms of the risks versus the opportunity? Parang to them, the opportunity is much, much higher. What do you say is the leverage of not doing the wealth taxation? Given na there's already an existing corruption in the system, what do you think must be the way forward?
Unang gusto ko lang sabihin, ano ang kapal ng mukha ng gobyerno para maningil ng dagdag na buwis sa pinagnanakawan nito? As for now, ang Pilipinas, when in terms of VAT, ang may pinakamataas. So, kung as we all know, 12% ang VAT ng Pilipinas na sinundan ng Indonesia na 11%. And then if we're going to look at our recent FDI or foreign direct investment, roughly $8 billion lang ang kinikita ng Pilipinas. Meanwhile, sa Malaysia na 5% or roughly 5% lang ang kanilang VAT ay 24 billion US dollars.
So in terms of your standing position, even with the presence of foreign investors or the exodus, it's not a leverage to actually make the Philippines better. What do you have to say to that?
I think po that foreign investors would help much further po, because even though there will be some political tensions with long-standing investors with this new system that we're trying to propose po, it would just necessarily mean that the new investors would try even harder to put themselves in a position po that we would choose them over the long-standing investors that we already have po.
If that's the case, sana mas palawakin pa natin ang ating perspektiba na hindi lamang mas kino-consider ng ating kahit umalis ang mga long investors natin at yung sinasabi nyo na possibly madagdagan or pumapunta ang mga bagong investors sa ating bansa, tandaan nyo na kino-consider ng isang investor kung corrupt ba ang bansa at kung mataas or mababa ba ang VAT nito. So, bakit naman pupunta ang mga investor dito in the first place kung ang taas-taas ng buwis? Ano pa yung kikitain nila? So, kung isa kang business owner, yung goal mo lagi is to maximize your profit.
Pupunta sila dito kasi mas magiging predictable na magiging predictable na yung valuation system. Hindi na siya magiging unstable, hindi na siya magiging speculative. Magkakaroon ng standardized system na sinusunod ang valuation system natin. And pupunta sila dito because there are still a lot of things na pwede maging innovative, pwede silang i-develop na innovative technologies, properties here in the Philippines na since maraming resources and all.
Okay, sige. Maraming salamat, Toph and Fred. No? So, for now, we'll give you time to reconvene with your teammates and palawagin pa or sharpen yung inyong initial statement. So, first of all, grabe schoolmates, ramdam na ramdam natin yung init ng argumento ngayong araw, pero hindi pa dyan natatapos. Dahil sa aming pagbabalik ay mas matinding sagutan at diretsahang palitan ng pananaw ang aabangan nyo sa susunod na round ng ating debate. So ito na yung mga match-up na inaabangan natin. Kaya stay tuned dahil tuloy-tuloy lang ang mainit na talakayan dito lang sa Schoolmates! Nagbabalik ang Schoolmates. Okay guys, so dumako naman tayo sa ikalawang bahagi ng ating debate. Sa round na ito, random na pipiliin kung sinong mga debaters ang maghaharap-harap para sagutin at depensahan ang kanilang mga pananaw. So ready na ba ang lahat? Ready? Ready? O kinakabahan kayo? Chill lang, sige. Ngayon, ang magtatapatan ay sina Benj and Sam. Sa isinusulong na Bayanihan 3 Law na layuning magbigay ng tulong pinansyal hindi lang sa apektado ng oil crisis, kundi pati na rin sa mga mahihirap, makatarungan ba na gamitin ang mas mataas na buwis sa mayayaman upang pondohan ang ayuda para sa mga mahihirap?
Ang paggamit naman ng buwis natin, for example, especially sa mga mayayaman, it will be put into a different place. Sige, let's speculatively say na yung buwis ng mga mayayaman is mapupunta sa mga ayuda para sa mga mahihirap. Pero let me ask you, magsasettle na lang ba talaga tayo sa ayuda? Ayuda na lang ba palagi? Bakit natin ginagamit palagi ang ayuda bilang band-aid solution? It is a band-aid solution. Hindi natin, lawakan natin ang ating perspective at sana wag lang ayuda. Sana meron tayong konkretong solusyon at hindi lamang band-aid na solusyon.
Okay, Benj. Sige, let's note that. Sam?
Okay, so para sa aming side, hindi makatarungan na gamitin ang pagtaas ng buwis ng mayaman para magamit dito sa pagbibigay ng ayuda. Yes, we do agree na band-aid solution ito. But it's about spending the government's budget wisely. Hindi natin kailangan taasan ang buwis ng mga mahihirap dahil in the first place, marami tayong dapat habulin. Ang dami nating pending cases when it comes to tax evasion, as I said earlier. Therefore, we need to properly account our budget and we need to properly allocate the budget and in a sustainable way. Sabi mo nga, it's a band-aid solution.
Okay, Benj.
Makatarungan naman na gamitin yung wealth tax para sa mga ayuda ng mga mahihirap.
Okay.
Siyempre, let's say na if you are rich, you have the capacity, gaya nga na sinabi ko kanina, you have the capacity and you have the ability to pay taxes na yung mga tax na yun is mapupunta sa mga ayuda ng mga mahihirap. It's very makatarungan kasi number one, sabihin na just because that you are rich, you also have the economic responsibility to contribute sa society natin. Kasi frankly, bakit ba yung mga tax ba ng mga middle income earners, sasabihin mo ba na makatarungan ba ito kung yun yung gagamitin na pondo para sa mga ayuda ng mga mahihirap? No, pupunta tayo dun sa higher level which is yung mga ultra-wealthy natin.
Okay, sige. So you're now questioning the source, right? O sige, Sam, and what do you have to say to that?
Okay, sige. In the context na tutulungan yung mahihirap, okay, we do agree with that. It's good na yung taxes ay napupunta sa mga nangangailangan. Pero again, hindi kasi fair or hindi nag-make sense na itataas pa yung buwis ng mga yayaman. Dahil in the first place, nasa progressive taxation naman tayo. Bakit kailangan pa itaas? Ano pa, idadagdag mo pa, itataas mo pa lalo? Tayo na nga ang merong highest taxes among other ASEAN countries, which is developing countries also. It's the problem here is the government spending and the government allocation.
Bukod sa usage para magbigay ng tulong sa mga mahihirap, makatarungan ba na ang mga mayayaman ang magbabayad sa panahon ng krisis o responsibilidad ba ito ng gobyerno?
According to Hector S. De Leon, meron tayong tinatawag na 3 inherent powers of the state. Ang isa doon, number 1, is the power of taxation. Now, the power of taxation, it is an inherent power of the government wherein ginagamit ng gobyerno ang taxes ng mga countrymen nito para pondohan yung, for example, mga programs. So, in our case, itong mga magbayad sa panahon ng krisis. So doon pa lang, even if, for example, yes, let us also acknowledge na meron nga mga charitable institutions, mga NGO funded by the ultra-wealthy elite. But then again, meron ka pa ring responsibilidad na hindi naman porket you have this NGOs and charitable institution, you also have the responsibility to pay taxes.
Okay, sige, Sam.
Okay. I would like to quote na ang Philippines ay may low tax moral. Bakit?
Okay.
Dahil ito sa corruption and sa inefficiencies or hindi pagiging inefficient ng gobyerno when it comes to spending our budget. Ngayon, ang tanong natin dito is makatarungan ba na ang mga mayaman magbayad sa panahon ng krisis? Bakit hindi gobyerno? In the first place, that's their responsibility. Ayun ang responsibility na sa Estado na gabayan, i-make sure na tayong lahat ay nasa bantay na estado ng buhay, nakakatanggap ng kaginhawahan. Why would you give the burden to the rich? It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? And at the same time, yung question na to, it's falling to a band-aid solution sa panahon ng krisis. Bakit hindi tayo magkaroon ng mga projects or mga programs or interventions na kung saan before the crisis, pero na tayong solution. And it's again falling to wise government spending.
As a government spending naman, syempre, ang natin, paano nga ba mapopondohan ng ating gobyerno para sa ating mga social program? Yes, sabihin na natin, corruption, it is inevitable. Aminin naman na natin, ang Pilipinas corrupt. Halos lahat ng bansa may corrupt talaga.
Okay.
Ang hirap niyang alisin, ang hirap niyang tuldukan na porket, ang Pilipinas corrupt, so hindi na natin kailangan taasan yung tax ng mga mayayaman because hindi siya makatarungan. And at the same time, yung mga tulong naman na ginagawa ng mga gobyerno, even if sabihin na natin 50%, sige 70% of the pondo na binabayad ng mga taxpayers na mayayaman is napupunta sa corruption. But what about the 30%? Let us also acknowledge na even if the budget is mal-used or na-utilize for corruption or kahit binubulsa ng mga corrupt na
Wait lang.
gobyerno.
So you are normalizing corruption right now.
No, I am not normalizing corruption.
Pero you said na sa ibang country, hindi inevitable naman ang corruption. So, ayun na lang yon. I-say na lang natin like that. Tapos ang tanong natin, makatarungan. Do you think makatarungan para sa mga mayayaman? Na ibaburden mo sa kanila yung responsibility for the government's, that it should be a government's responsibility? Imagine that.
I am not normalizing corruption. I'm just acknowledging the fact na corruption is inevitable. Kahit ano pang gawin nating accountability, transparency, corruption will... Nandyan yung corruption.
Then, ini-eliminate mo yung purpose ng government.
Let's pose that question again. Palit tayo. So, Marcos and Aaron, if there is already corruption, how can you make wealth taxation work under that pretense? Kasi you guys already acknowledge the fact that corruption is inevitable and thus exists in multitude of scales in different countries. How can you make that work if there is wealth taxation? In your case, since you identified that corruption should not be present, what do you think is the existing system or an alternative system that you can propose given that hindi mo naman agad maiaalis ang korupsyon sa bansa? Marcos.
Ayun nga, no? So deeply embedded talaga ang corruption sa ating bansa. But to think of it, no? Nasabi nila kanina na magkakaroon ng capital flight risk. Nasabi ko rin na tatakbo nga yung mga investors and yung mga ultra-rich. So, balikan lang natin, ano ba yung root ng corruption sa Pilipinas? Yung malawakang lobbying, yung bribery, graft, na maaaring mula sa ultra-rich na class na pinopondohan nila yung campaign ng mga politiko na ngayon ay nakaupo sa Kongreso. So kung tatakbo yung mismong mga kapitalista na yon, sino na magpopondo sa kampanya? May mananalo pa ba na corrupt na politiko? Yun ang solusyon namin.
Okay. Aaron, what
A
do you have to
data
say to
from
that?
the Transparency International revealed that in Asia, 19% of the people that they have interviewed admitted that they have committed bribery in the last 12 months. Now again, let me point out, corruption is intolerable at every scale. But
Okay.
you should not let it happen at any scale because corruption costs life. We do not treat life as statistics. We are talking about the life of an individual who is ending because of corruption. We have incurred 1,200 at least of maternity preventable death. If
Okay.
it could have been done
Okay, balik tayo sa central statement ha. We are not talking about corruption. We are talking about how can you make wealth taxation work even in the pretense of corruption? Or in your case, since you do not agree with wealth taxation, how can you remove that baseline of corruption given the existing system, or is there an alternative taxation system that should be proposed or a different tax reform? Marcos.
Again, no, part ng wealth tax na pinopropose namin ay isang comprehensive. So, nabanggit ng aking team kanina na magkakaroon tayo ng standardized valuation sa real properties para matax natin ito mabuti. Does that include corruption? Possibly. But we can mitigate those same corruption kung uunahin natin alisin yung root and stem ng corruption, which is yung mga ultra-rich class. And to think, ang wealth taxation ay magre-remove din sa iilan sa mga politikong bahagi ng ultra-rich class. At mabanggit ko lang, habang ang ating mga kababayan na nagtitiis sa maliit na sahod, yung iba dyan, may Rolls Royce na may umbrella.
Okay?
Okay,
Aaron.
going back to the question, point out, transparency is the enemy of corruption. And that's the reason why we are advocating for the appeal or the repeal of the Bank Secrecy Act. Repeal it with the Bank Secrecy Waiver Act that is in lobbying in Congress right now. Complement it together with the Right to Information Act for us to properly monitor the transactions in the government. Again, transparency in government. Hindi mo may pagkakataon ka at mataas ang tsansa mo na makahuli na magnanakaw kung transparent yung salamin sa harap mo.
Okay. Sige, Marcos.
Wouldn't the implementation or the passing of the bank secrecy or the repeal of the bank secrecy law would also benefit the implementation of the wealth taxation? Is the bank secrecy law exclusive to politicians? We already have AMLA. Bank secrecy law could also apply to the ultra-rich billionaires and the capitalists. We can access their private accounts and balance sheets so we can determine if they have been paying taxes equitably to what they are earning.
But are you sure that that those rich politicians are hiding their money here? Let us talk about the Pandora Papers in 2021. How many people in the Philippines are involved in that paper revealed? That is revealed by the various journalists throughout the world. How sure are you that they, the ultra-rich, are hiding their money here? Tell me. Give me a number.
Well, there is no certainty.
Precisely, and that's the problem. We do not have a definitive number of the money that they have here, much more in another country. And the Pandora Papers revealed that in 2021.
On account of transparency and the fact that wealth taxation might or may work in a pretense of an already corrupt system, punta tayo sa relevance in terms of social media. One way that we were able to identify the ultra-rich in the Philippines, or they may not even be part of the ultra-rich, pwedeng loud lang sila and part of a different socio-economic class, ay social media, okay? Dadagdagan ko lang yung tanong kasi we're already in the free flow, ah. Sa panahon ng social media kung saan kitang-kita nyo ang luho ng ilang mga milyonaryo at bilyonaryo, habang marami ang naghihirap sa buhay, dapat ba talaga or is increasing the tax of the super rich gonna help with that? And in your case, even that there are many ways to evade the taxes, how do you think the proposed system that you are saying is actually guaranteed to really capture these people who evade the taxes? Aaron, ikaw muna.
Well, as for our end, we have a clear policy on that. Strengthen our bureaucratic system. Let the 5 facets of state capacity be fulfilled. Again, repeat it for the public to know. Capacity to tax effectively. Capacity to spend tax effectively. Capacity to pursue corruption cases. Capacity to bring transparency. And most importantly, capacity to deliver visible public services and goods. That's how simple it was.
Yun nga, no? Kaya nga nakikita natin na talagang kailangan ng wealth tax kasi lantaran na yung pagmamayabang, pagpapakita ng kayamanan nila sa mga tao gamit ang social media. Doon nga natin na-discover yung flood control projects na scam pala, no? So, makikita natin na habang ating mga kababayan nagtitiis sa minimum wage na 695 pesos, sila tong mga nag-out of the country, naka-private jet. So, anong pinapakita nun? Pinapakita nun ang insensitivity ng mga ultra-rich class na yan, kaya dapat magkaroon tayo ng wealth tax.
Again, let me reiterate yung sinabi ni French kanina. Hindi mo mapupuno ang isang timba ng tubig kung yung timba na yun butas in the first place. No matter how much you pour water, no matter how hard you try, it will just fall. Maraming butas. May 5 tayong butas na sinabi ko kanina. Ngayon, up until the point that the affirmative side proved to me that you have the state capacity, then we will fall on the status quo. No, ang sagot, and we will stay on that.
Okay. Sige, maraming salamat. I think we already ended the discussion at that note. Sa aming pagbabalik, alamin naman natin kung sino ang mag-uuwing best speaker para sa debate natin ngayong araw at basahin din natin ang komento ng ating mga schoolmates online. Lahat ng yan ay sa pagbabalik lamang ng Schoolmates!
Nagbabalik ang Schoolmates. Kung kanina ay ating napakinggan ang mga matitinding argumento ng mga debaters, ngayon naman basahin natin ang ilan sa mga komento ng ating mga Schoolmates online. Yan.
Okay.
Ito una, sabi ni Louis Sablan, pantay-pantay sana lahat.
Ay, RT that.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Sabi rin ni Raven William Villegas, kahit pataasan o babaan yan, hindi naman nagbabayad ng tax mga mayayaman. Ay, may galit siya.
Aligasyon.
May galit siya.
Alright.
Okay. Thank you sa ating schoolmates na nagbigay ng kanilang mga komento at mainit na opinyon. Patuloy lamang kayong makialam at makisali sa ating mga talakayan. No? I-like nyo rin ang aming mga social media pages at Schoolmates.
Ngayon, ito na nga ang oras para alamin natin sino nga ba ang
Ayan na.
naging... Correct. Ay, para tayo nang hype lang ng sarili, no? Sino nga ba ang naging best speaker ngayong araw? Okay, ang best speaker ay... Mark Aaron Soliva! Thank you so much for being the best speaker. Ayan. So, syempre for today, marami tayong natutunan no, regarding sa taxation or wealth tax, ika nga. But
Right.
I wanna know your thoughts, given na kanina nakikita mo yung mukha ko, parang...
Actually nakuha nila ako eh. Kasi ang dami nilang mga nabatong impormasyon, especially sa mga schoolmates natin all na nanonood, no. Sana may ma-consider din nila yung mga impormasyong naibato nila. And mag-add lang din ako, no. Ang napag-usapan natin ngayon ay hindi lamang tumatalakay sa usaping buwis. Tumatalakay din ito, no, sa bawat normal na mamamayan, no. Ang mga pagkain nila sa mesa, pamasahe, trabaho at kinabukasan ng pamilya. Hindi lamang ito nakatukoy no sa simpleng tax lamang. Nakatukoy ito sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay ng mga normal na Pilipino lamang, no. And dagdag ko rin, no, na ang mga buwis na nakokolekta sa mayayaman ay magiging epektibo kung maayos ang paggamit ng pondo, transparent ang gobyerno, and of course, ayusin ang korupsyon sa bansa. Dahil naniniwala ko, no, na may mga ways para maayos ang corruption sa Pilipinas. Nagawa ito ng Pasig, nagawa ng Naga, nagawa ng ibang cities sa Pilipinas. Hindi dapat natin iasa sa mayayaman. Dapat iasa natin to sa gobyerno. Dahil responsibilidad at trabaho nila yung mga ito. Okay, mag-iwan din ako ng katanungan sa mga schoolmates natin na malaya nilang pagdiskusyonan din sa comment natin. Hindi lamang magkano ang buwis ang dapat natin itanong. Dapat itanong din natin saan napupunta ang buwis.
Right. Okay, sige. Actually, on my end naman, to just answer the question kung pabor ba ako, honestly, yes. Kasi, why? It's not just specifically saying na responsibility ng o parang socio-corporal responsibility.
Correct.
'Di ba? Hindi siya CSR. Ay, hindi siya CSR tama, 'di ba? Ng mga mayayaman na magbayad ng buwis. Every citizen responsibility nila 'yun.
Right.
Na magbayad talaga ng buwis. But honestly, personal take ko lang 'to kasi may narinig akong friend, okay? Na nagsabi siya ng honestly, kahit higher income taxpayer ako, kung nakikita ko naman na maganda yung kinapupuntahan ng buwis, okay lang sa akin magbayad ng mas mataas. Kasi part din sila ng makikinabang dun sa buwis na yun.
Beneficio.
So, yes, wealth tax is should be an added appendage to what the current tax reform systems are in the country. But also, what we need to start first is habang nilalakad natin tong wealth tax na ito, aralin din natin paano ba siya tamang i-execute. Kaya hindi rin ako makapili dun sa mga debaters kanina. Kasi honestly, pareho silang may point.
Yes.
Paano ka mag-a-add ng additional tax system sa bansa, when the current effective ones, or should have been effective ones, were no longer working because the ones who execute it are the ones who benefit from it the most. 'Di ba? So, kung nagagawa na nila ang tax evasion sa current na sistema, what makes us think that in the wealth tax system ay magagawa ito ng mas maayos? So, the intent is good, therefore I am for it, but as to when we should do it, it should start first with cleansing the execution part, 'di ba? Kailangan lahat ng loopholes at guardrails ay nasasagot natin. For example, kanina nabanggit natin yung exit tax, 'di ba? Tama naman 'yun. Sa sobrang highly bureaucratic ng ating bansa, bago mo maipanukala ang isa pang batas, inakatakas na sila, 'di ba? So parang in essence, the intent, even the government as a whole, the intent is good, but how they do it is what makes it questionable.
Yes.
Diba? So hindi natin sinasabi na hindi tayo magtiwala sa gobyerno. It's our responsibility to make the government work for us. And how do we do that? Use better leaders, mga moms, di ba? So, di ba, magtatax ka ng rich, tama. Even the rich would say yes to that. They would be like,
Yes.
if makikinabang ako, why the hell not? Kung ikakaganda ng buhay ko sa ating bansa, why the hell not? But, kung tataksan mo ko, pero nakikita ko na ang buwis ko ay napupunta sa bulsa lang ng kapwa ko, ay bakit ko naman gagawin yon, 'di ba? So, in a capitalist mindset, if it is all for profit, how can we make the profit more profitable?
Correct.
Hindi dapat yung matataas lang ang nakakakuha, dapat yung mabababa din. And also, may I add, hindi responsibilidad ng mayayaman na pataasin ang level of ng pamumuhay ng mga mahihirap. What they can only do is to level the system, 'di ba? Give more access so that those who are in the lower lying systems or the lower lying socioeconomic classes ay mayroong paraan para makaakyat, 'di ba? That's why we're lobbying for better access to healthcare, education, 'di ba? Better infrastructures. Pero kung mananatiling hindi natin gagawin yan sa tamang paraan, paano sila makakaakyat, 'di ba? So, it's not the wealth tax itself that is wrong. It's is this the only panacea solution to everything that is happening? It should always be in addition to the current systems in our country. So, yon.
Yes.
Diba? Okay. So, marami nang nasabi yung debaters kanina. So, guys, mag-isip din tayo. Yun yung baseline dito. Isip-isip din pag may time. Go!
Yes, and of course, maraming salamat no sa ating mga debaters sa pagsali sa makabuluhang diskusyon ngayong araw. And of course, maraming salamat din BP Studios!
Yes, the home of Schoolmates. And with that, sa About Usapin sa About Issue, may boses tayong mga kabataan.
Sumali, makinig at makiisa dahil ang bawat opinion natin ay mahalaga.
Kaya naman, sabay-sabay natin isigaw sa buong mundo, Schoolmates,
May pakialam ka!